Story and inspiration time here on the Exam Room Podcast, brought to you by the Physicians Committee. Hello, I am the weight loss champion, Chuck Carroll, and I'm joined today by somebody who is an absolute must follow on Instagram. She is so much fun, and she may have one of the most fun handles of anybody out there. You know her. She is at the Herban Farmacy, which is just fantastic. Stacey Heiny, welcome to the show. Stacey, so good to see you.
Hello, Chuck. How's it going today?
It's fantastic. How are things at the Herban Farmacy?
Very, very good. It is the Urban Pharmacy, but you could
I gotta stress the H for people who aren't, familiar with you just yet. I'm not a herb guy. I'm an herb guy. I want to clarify that, but just in case, because somebody may be listening as opposed to watching, it is herb.
It's Herban and farm, like the farmer's market.
Yeah. See, that's what makes it so cool. It's a play on words. But anyway, so for people who, Stacey, are not yet familiar with you, you are a certified holistic nutritionist and a food for life instructor, a woman after my own heart with that. But I love on your website, here's where I want to begin today. I love on your website, on the About Me page, it says, quote, I was always active, peppy, sometimes to a fault, and seemingly healthy individual growing up, but it wasn't until I turned about 19 or 20 that my wellness started to decline from years of less than optimal living. This is an important piece of information here because a lot of people think that if you're active, if you're peppy to a fault, and you're not necessarily struggling with your weight, like your health is in, really good shape, but you are saying here that's not the case. So talk to us, like what happened when you were 19 or 20?
Totally. And that is something that I feel is a huge part of my story because a lot of the times, and especially on social media, Chuck, you see all of these transformation stories when people were, overweight or looked so different. And then all of a sudden their life changed when they started eating better and when they, did these better habits, took on these better habits. And I never looked that way. I never looked as though I was not feeling well. I never really looked overweight. I never even got to that point where I was even like at the obese, stage in terms of BMI. But I felt so terrible. And that was around, when I was 19 or 20 years old. I smoked cigarettes. I ate fast food on a very normal basis. I grew up on processed foods, not all processed foods. I mean, my mom made me eat the Popeye spinach from the can. Thank God she did that because now I love it. And I don't even have to have it from a can with all of the sodium. I love it now. But I took on less than stellar habits at a pretty young age and recognized early also at a pretty young age that this is not the way that I wanted my life to go. And this is not the way that I wanted to feel. So I started changing my life around 20 years old. And I got really serious about it because I just intuitively knew that if I did not take care of myself in the biggest and the best way, that I wasn't going to be able to show up with the purpose that I have.
That makes sense. But what strikes me is you're telling that story. And what I'm thinking is this is completely normal, though. You sound to me like the typical 19 or 20-year-old, and you actually had a health awakening a lot sooner in life than a lot of people do. So you're kind of blessed in that regard. A lot of people keep going down that unhealthy path there for many, many years. I mean, get into their 40s, 50s, even 60s before they're like, oh my God, I got to make a change here. So did your family struggle with any kind of health issues? Was that the part of the awakening for you?
No, they didn't really. I mean, there's really no history of heart disease in my family. Not a lot of high cholesterol, maybe my grandma has high blood pressure, but that's, we know that can be fixed. It was the way that I felt. Chuck, it was the fact that after going to work or getting home from college classes, I would lay on the couch and I would feel tired all the time. That's just not normal. It's also not normal to have a stomach ache every single time after you eat. And I just started to connect the dots. Like, maybe these McDonald's breakfasts, Happy Meal things that I was eating are not serving me, like, and maybe drinking every weekend isn't the best idea. And really a big, huge part of my awakening was starting a mind-body connection, a mind-body practice of Pilates. And that kind of helped me like feel in my body. And I don't know if you've ever done Pilates or like yoga, but even gentle ways of moving your body can help you realize that, gosh, like, oh, I stretch that way, my stomach doesn't feel good. Oh, I stretch that way, my stomach doesn't feel good, right? So I just started making these connections like, I need to stop going to sleep or wanting to go to sleep every single time I eat. And I need to stop laying on the couch because I don't feel good enough to do anything. That's really where I was at. And I wasn't eating fast food for every meal, but I just wasn't making healthy choices. And it was early on. And when so many of my other friends were going out constantly every weekend and a lot of the weeknights and eating pizza all the time, and they could get away with it. And still people that I know that I've grown up with are still getting away with eating like that and living that way. But my body told me no way early on.
Well, do you really think that they were getting away with it, or just they were feeling the same way you were, but they
They
had
are.
normalized it, and
They
so
are.
they didn't even perceive the fact that their tummy's aching all the time, they're tired all the time. That's just how it is, and they accepted it, and they continued to roll that way.
Totally. You are spot on with that. I know so many people that, even my husband, who is 5 years older than me, he's in his 40s now. Like, people have mentioned, wow, I mean, I can't even believe how much he does. Like, why does he get up so early? And, like, how is he doing all that stuff? We have a farm, and he does some organic farming after his corporate job every day. And like, people are just like blown away by that. I'm like, what? Early 40 is like the beginning of your life. Like, we have so many years ahead of us, and yeah, I don't know. I just woke up early. I woke up early and realized that I didn't want to fall into the standard American diet.
That's cool. So, how did you get from that point in your life to where you are now? A huge proponent of a lot of things that are holistic, certainly eating a healthy plant-based diet, because a lot of people begin their quote unquote health journey. It begins as if they're going down the plant-based road. It begins with, Morningstar patties,
Yeah.
Gardein, things like that, which, okay, great introductions, but that's kind of a far, far cry from where you are today. So what was your entry point? Was it that standard Gardein, Morningstar, McDonald's replacement type of food?
Yeah. So it's been a journey. I've been fully plant-based for over a decade now. So really the whole lifestyle wellness journey started again when I was early 20s with Pilates, made that mind body connection, became a Pilates instructor, owned a Pilates studio, really started educating people about just, living in a more healthful way, subtly, one little thing at a time. Stop putting toxins on your body, stop putting toxins in your body. Um, and, but with the plant-based, it was around when I was like 25 years old, I think, and I'm 37 now. I just turned 37. That I went to see a documentary called Fast Food Nation. And that was where everything changed in terms of animals versus not animals, and if I was going to ingest them or not. So I was already eating, the standard switch from a standard American diet to what people would think is healthy, which is the chicken breast with the broccoli and the brown rice, right? Like that was a normal dinner type of situation, or, or the salmon with not loaded with butter sauce and, pasta or whatever. So I was already eating a little bit better than I was before. But after that documentary, it was more about the animals than anything. that was my entry point, because that just showed me how like processing animals and all that stuff goes. And I was not going to have anything to do with it. But, you know, year after year after that, like it was really like, all right, there, I'm done with the animals. So I'm going to go to the hippie grocery store, because that's really the only place that I thought that I was going to be able to find any sort of like mock meat. So I went there, and I remember looking at this box, and one of my favorite quotes today still is "health is wealth." And I saw that because it was the brand of this vegan chicken nugget that I did buy a box of. And I started eating a few of those mock meats for just a little bit, but Chuck, it did not last long at all. I figured out that I didn't feel good on those foods either. So I really kind of easily started transitioning to more just healthy whole plant foods. But that was a definite journey. It took me a good year to get off of dairy, but it was really like meat first. Meat went away first. And eggs, I didn't have a problem with getting rid of, but cheese and ice cream, that was rough. That was really rough.
Girl, that is you and so many others.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the dairy is it is like the hardest thing in the world for so many people to kick. And I think back to even my own story, you know, being so addicted to Taco Bell, which is just loaded with cheese. And I'm wondering, well, maybe it was the cheese that had me hooked more than anything else on there. There wasn't a single item aside from the caramel empanada they would give me for free just for being a great customer.
Yeah.
Everything else was just loaded with cheese. And was that really it? You know, did Taco Bell have this magical crack cheese that just called to me? I don't, yeah. I mean, I think it's plausible to wonder anyway. Who knows? So it took you a full year to get off of that. But in terms of when you first made that switch and you were still eating the vegetables and the chicken that you were talking about, maybe a little bit of salmon without the butter sauce, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much better were you feeling just by cutting out the majority of the fast food?
Oh my gosh. So much better. You know, but what I found is that, I mean, I did cut out the fast food, but at the same time, I still was living in a way where I was allowing, like, I was using the terminology cheat meals, or I don't know. Cheat meal really kind of sticks out to me, because I feel like that's the diet culture, and a lot of people still use that. And so I would still find myself eating junky more often than I definitely wanted to, because I was just addicted. I was so addicted, you know, like maybe 5 out of the 7 nights of a week, I would eat those like clean animal proteins with a grain and a vegetable. But like, then, you know, on the weekend we would get, I don't know, like takeout, maybe Chinese takeout or something. And I was still addicted. Like I was really, really addicted to salt, oil, and sugar. Like you know, Dr. Lyle, he wrote The Pleasure Trap. That book really explains like what happens to our brain when we combine the salt, oil, and sugar, and why it's so hard to stop. So, I mean, I was feeling a little better, but man, when I went plant-based, when I went fully plant-based, like I felt like a kid again.
Yeah.
And my sister was like, what happened to you? Like, seriously, what happened to you? And I'm like, I feel so different. And I, for so many years, probably like 15 good years of my life, like I just started going down this road of thinking that this is the way that life has to be, you know, and this is the way that we have to feel. We are all going to be sluggish after we eat every meal. This is totally normal. It's actually not. It's not. But that's the mentality that I had.
No, but I mean, I would say that you're feeling normal now. As a matter of fact, I remember speaking with somebody on this show who was saying something very similar to what it is that you're saying now, as far as how great they felt after they began to eat that healthy plant-based diet. And they were telling this to the doctor, and the doctor's like, you don't feel especially good. You feel normal. They finally reached normal And that's when that light clicked on, like how
Mhm.
abnormal it was to be eating the way that this gentleman was, and living in that fast food nation and embracing it
Yeah.
and accepting that as his normal when it still was anything but normal. And normal feels so daggone good, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So you're feeling really, really good now at this point. You're off of the dairy, no more eggs, no more meat. Like you're living life, right? So when
Yep.
did you decide to kind of make this transition then and take some of your joy, some of your health, and then try to help other people along the way?
Yeah. So I've always liked to teach people. And as, a Pilates instructor at the time, well, I still teach, but only one client. But I loved teaching people, and I would just naturally start telling them about, the recipes that I started making. After that documentary, gosh, I'm trying to connect the dots time wise, but I think in 2009, Alicia Silverstone came out with her book called The Kind Diet. And I started telling all of my clients about the things that I was making. And I'm like, gosh, these, like she was still using, like brown rice syrup. She used a lot of brown rice syrup in her recipes, but I was still feeling better eating that than I was like the processed sugary foods. But a lot of the recipes are just healthy, whole food, plant-based recipes. And I just started sharing that with people. And the journey to plant-based really started again, Chuck, with the animals first. Then it went to environment. And then after I really started feeling so good after several years of eating this way, I was like, man, my health, my health has turned around. And then I started really getting into nutrition, and then I really wanted to educate people. And people are, when they can see you transform in front of their eyes, they want to do what you're doing. So I had, really receptive people, or people being really receptive to the message that I was giving to them, and really inspired and messaging me over and over again saying, can you share that recipe? Or can you share that recipe? Oh my gosh, what you're eating looks so good. You should write a cookbook someday. Do you ever do cooking classes? And so that got me thinking, really, I should probably step into this more and help people totally change their life.
Yeah, it's the best feeling in the world too when you get that kind of feedback from people who you have been helping and your message is clicking and they're starting to see the big difference and they're feeling so good about it, just like you had experienced. And now they want to, I'm sure, help others, a lot of them as well. It's interesting though that, you take the route of coming into nutrition just because you had compassion for animals. Then it goes to the environment, and then you get into nutrition because you're like, oh my gosh, I feel so great. That's that holy trinity of what it means to be vegan or embracing the plant-based
Mhm.
lifestyle is you always enter it from one of three angles. It is either for the animals, the environment, or your own health. But as I always say, inevitably, you get wrapped up in all three of them because I feel like you can't have one without the other two. It's all kind of working in harmony together. It's like a big symphony of health for yourself, the animals, and the environment.
Totally. Yeah. And our future,
For sure. For sure. I got to ask you about your husband, though, because it seems to me that you have stumbled across a rare gem, a gentleman who embraces this as well and does a little farming, as like most guys, you picture them, the stereotypical American guy is a beer guzzling, pizza eating, fast food eating, just macho kind of a guy. You wouldn't
Totally.
exactly expect this guy to be in the backyard doing some farming and making sure that his family has healthy food to eat. Like that's something you would hear about in the 1700s when they're farming for a living. How did he come into your life and how did he get on this healthy train?
Oh gosh, that's so funny. He was the beer guzzling, not to say he doesn't ever have a beer, but it's very rare now. It's not very often. Um, and pizza guts, like we were doing that together. We did that together and we fed off of each other's bad habits. It was not good. So this lifestyle he's actually totally embraced over time. It's nothing that I was able to force on him. I think we all know you can't change people, but oh man, when I went through my, I have multiple certifications in nutrition, but when I really went through the one with Dr. Campbell through Cornell, through the through nutrition studies, and he really heard all of the lessons, he was just like, okay, and this was before we had our son, who's now 4.5. And I think it started all clicking like, oh, wow, I could actually live longer. It's not just my wife trying to not have me eat the chicken because it kills the chicken. It's actually like a much bigger picture than that. And with the farming situation, long story made short, Kyle and I met in a deli. I was manning the deli.
Where every good vegan couple meets, right?
That's deli. Where every good vegan couple meets. And I was selling him the good old lunch meat galore. And that I would never give that to anybody ever again. And I actually wish that I could go back and tell all the customers that I gave the deli meat that I am so sorry. But I think about that often. We met there, and he was working it was his first corporate job. I was still in school, and I was running the deli. I was a little single man deli within a corporate building that I served tons of people lunches every day. And that's how we met. And we went on a first date and never looked back. And I don't know, we've been together for like 18 years or something. I lost count, but, yeah, he was never a farmer. My grandparents and his grandparents gardened a lot. That's no surprise, right? But he's very, very good with his hands. So he's like an engineer and he can fix things. And I had this wild idea after we had been gardening for several years when we were dating and gardening at his parents' house on their land. And then gardening here when we built this house in our little backyard boxes. I had this wild idea that I wanted to get a farm, and I wanted to buy a farm nearby and hopefully eventually live there, right? And what I really wanted to do was grow lavender, because lavender is known to be an actual legit herb that can truly heal people. So I wanted to grow a whole farm of lavender. That was
Everybody's got a dream.
I mean, every wife goes to their husband and says, honey, I want a farm that we can grow lavender on. Like, that doesn't typically happen. But we found it. And, of course, he has all these visions like, oh, tractors, I can get the tractors and I can get those things. So we got a farm. We bought 14 acres, and we now do not grow lavender because it's quite hard to grow. But we do grow vegetables. We grow a lot of vegetables, and we're expanding into flowers, and we sell at the farmer's market. And so we've been doing the farmer's market thing for maybe 5 years now. And it's just really, really, really great to get into the community and to be able to see people get excited about eating, these beautiful greens that we're able to grow for them. And with the farmer's market, I used to sell vegan food there. I would sell like cashew queso cheese and like raw energy balls. And because I love to cook and I love to get the good flavors into people's mouths and make them understand that plants can taste really good. I stopped doing that once my son was born because it got too busy, to be honest. And I wanted to work more from home. So.
Right on. No, that's cool, man. I'm happy for y'all chasing the dream. I'm sorry the lavender didn't work out, but it seems like you've landed nicely nonetheless.
We don't live there yet. We will eventually.
Okay.
And once I get on that land, I'll figure out how to grow lavender.
There you go. There you go. Don't give up yet. Running out of time here. I feel like I could talk to you for a while just because you're such a fun conversation. But I got to ask you about your social media because you are so much fun. Like before we started rolling tape here, like I was like, hey, I called you the what is it, like a dancing fool or something like that, because you're always on there. You're just like boogieing and teaching at the same time. When did you embrace social media? And I'm asking this for two reasons. One, because you have a lot of great fun information on there, but two, social media has this connotation where it can be quite negative. Anybody who spent any time on there obviously knows that, but your particular follow is very positive, very uplifting. I have not seen anything negative on there. Like, you're just schooling people and having a good time doing it. So talk to us about, your time on Instagram, how much fun you're having doing it, the following that you're getting. Just give me the down low on your IG.
Okay, I will. All right. So where did this all start? It all started when I still owned my studio, which I sold about 4.5 years ago. So it all started there. I was like, I'm going to start promoting my studio, on social media. And I just showed up with like really scrappy videos and pictures of, clients doing Pilates. And then I figured out that it's a really great way to spread information. And so for the last like 4.5 years, I've just been showing up and going live on Facebook, getting on Instagram and educating people about, what I do on a daily basis and how they can change their health in little ways. And really, it kind of all started with me. I work with a B Corporation, beauty company, and I wanted to educate people about how to decrease their environmental toxins with regard of what they put on their body. So I started showing up a lot with the Pilates and then with the beauty counter thing, and showing people how to read a label, kind of like what we do with food now. Like, well, why don't we turn that around and look at all the sodium that's in there and all the saturated fat? Why don't we put that back on the shelf? Same thing with like body wash and shampoo. You want to make sure that it doesn't have specific toxins in there that can cause issues to you and the environment. And I started showing up with that a lot. And then I got into food and sharing recipes, and people respond and they let me know that what I'm saying is making a difference. So that keeps me going. And now it's to the point that I've embraced this whole social media thing, and I'm teaching other women that want to change the world how to show up on social media as well. So, yeah, did that answer your question?
No, it definitely does. Like, that's cool. Like, that's the entrepreneur side of you that I also admire so much. Like, you're kind of like the total package in my eyes. You've got the health thing down, you've got the entrepreneur thing down, two things that I respect maybe more than anything else in this life. So that's a lot of fun. Plus the fact that you're empowering others, to kind of follow in your path or create their own healthier path, the path that they want, because we get so trapped, not just in poor health, but just unhappy circumstances, whether it's at work or in relationships, whatever the case may be. Like, you're kind of a beacon of light for a lot of people. And so you do offer one-on-one consultations with people as a certified holistic nutritionist. You can check out the Herban Farmacy.com. See, no H on there. The Herban Farmacy. You know what? Spell it out. Herban, because this is audio.
It's Herban Pharmacy, Pharmacy. Yeah. The Herban Farmacy. Yeah. And, I want to speak to that thing that you said, Chuck, about the total package. And I think that this just brings me to the point that when it comes to social media and when it comes to just stepping into your purpose in any capacity, the message that I want our listeners to hear is that you have to drop the limiting beliefs. And I say that I'm maybe the jack of all trades, but a master of none. But there's a saying, it's like the jack of all trades, the master of none. But then I really am butchering this right now. But if you actually Google the rest of that quote, you will understand that it's basically the whole message behind that is saying imperfect action is better than perfect inaction every single day. So if you feel like you have a purpose within your heart, if you feel like you have something that you want to get out into the world, just show up and do it. And don't think about if it's going to be perfect or not, because you don't know whose life you can change. and who you can impact on a day-to-day basis. And that is just a belief that I took and hold very deeply. And I try to show up with every single day, knowing that, you know, not everybody's going to like what I have to say, but I know it could change people's lives. So I'm just going to continue doing that. And I try to share everything that I can. And I encourage other people to do the same. And it might appear like I know all the things and that I'm doing all the things, but really what I'm doing is I'm showing up. I'm just showing up as the totally imperfect person that I am.
I'll keep showing up because it's working and it's helping. And I admire you. And I love that, you know, so much about you. And really quickly, people, you need to know that Stacey is so committed to healthy living. Like, she practices what she preaches. She was just in Florida and she packed a Vitamix in her carry-on, you know. So this is what Stacey does. Like, she needs to embrace this lifestyle. She does embrace this lifestyle, and she goes the extra mile to make sure that not just she has what she needs to stay healthy, but her entire family does as well. So way to commit to the bit, Stacey. That is just so admirable on so many fronts.
Thank you, friend. We can close it up with that. You guys, I mean, for some people, it's totally okay to just go on vacation and to eat out. But for me, I have a really hard time getting back on track when I do stuff like that. And it's not to say that everybody needs to travel with a blender. I was making recipes for a special project that I'm doing. But whenever I do travel, if I don't bring my own blender, I definitely make sure that where I'm going has one so that I can make my morning drink and I can do those things that make me feel good. Because if I don't feel good, I can't show up in my biggest and best way.
No question about it. No question about it. And so we could have a whole other discussion about getting back on track and how difficult that can be from time to time. So I do admire you also for admitting that, you know, nobody's perfect. And so it's easier to stay on track than it is to get back on it. So that is a good lesson. And I think the perfect one to end this on. Stacey, you're a lot of fun. Thank you for just coming here and sharing a few laughs with us today.
Oh, you're so welcome, Chuck. It was an honor.
If your health IQ is a couple of points higher than it was a few minutes ago, go ahead and like this video or subscribe to the YouTube channel. And to take it even higher, head over to Apple Podcast or wherever you get your favorite shows. Look for The Exam Room by the Physicians Committee. Hit the subscribe button there as well and help to make your world a healthier place.